Welcome to SoundBreaker. I'm your host, Bob Shammy, and we're about to break the silence. Join me as we go behind the scenes and meet some of the most influential names in the music industry. Get ready for remarkable success stories that break the norms and defy the odds. From dreams to success, from challenges to victory. An exclusive backstage pass into the lives of music trailblazers as they create their own path to success. This is SoundBreaker. Welcome to SoundBreaker. On today's episode, we're talking to Todd Glassman, who is a groundbreaker in the music industry. Thank you for joining us. And for our listeners who might not be familiar with you, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit? Listen, before you start and saying anything, I know your bio is about a mile long, my friend. So don't dish it out all at once. There's a lot to talk about. And, I don't even know why you put the questions in, because I told my producer, yes, I said, listen, all we have to do is just say, hey, next, and just keep talking. Keep talking.
I've been fortunate, and I could talk about my experiences in the music industry for days. But my name's Todd Glassman, and first of all, I'm honored to be on your show. It's wonderful. I've had 25 years experience. I'm a promotion man at both independent record labels, major labels, and I currently have my own company.
Great. Before we dive into it, I just would like us to take us back, actually, us and our viewers and listeners, back to where this whole thing started. How do your love for music, back when you were in your early teens or kid, is the parents, school, whatever. You'll do the talking, my friend. We're here to listen and learn.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to being, there's a difference. When it comes to being a fan of music, I don't think I'm any different than every, billion people in the world. I think music to me was always my oxygen. It was just I couldn't breathe without it. I needed to hear every type of music, whether it been R&B, pop, alternative, country. I didn't care what it was. I just couldn't drink and eat it fast enough. I went to see I grew up in Boston. I went to go see as many concerts as I could. I was absolutely religious to the radio stations in those marketplaces. I just understood the value of how music brought people together. Best example I always said was watching Freddie Mercury at Live Aid. That moment is how I feel all the time.
Wow.
And that's really what got me into it. But when I went to Syracuse from Boston, I went to Syracuse University. I hung around with 5 or 6 people that all ended up going to the music industry. And I thought to say, wait a second, I can get paid to love music and work music. I mean, it wasn't even a vision of mine to go in the music industry until I identified that record labels like SBK and learning about Epic Records and starting to understand, hey, wait a second, could this be a future for me? And that's kind of how I got into this. And then we can get into it, but then I had the grit and determination, which we can talk about as we continue.
Great. Okay, we're going to fast forward to 2007. You were the senior vice president at Universal Midtown Record Group. Pretty impressive title. Motown, I'm sorry. What did I say? Midtown. Universal Motown Records Group. Yes, I apologize. Excuse me. You oversaw many aspects of the label's promotion department, including radio strategy and digital initiatives, which is a very broad title. You mentioned briefly, but how did you get there in your career?
Well, I worked when I started as a kid at Relativity Records, where I just loved promotion. I was a college promoter, then I did and then I became, I would cover region, and then Epic Records stole me, and I learned promotion from the ground up. And
so you were recruited, actually.
I was recruited. I was always recruited. I never left the company either. I was recruited by, frankly, a stronger opportunity. But, as a matter of fact, when I was at Epic Records, David Geffen tried to bring me over to DreamWorks. And I actually sat with Mr. Geffen, which was the most incredible experience. But I wasn't ready to leave Epic. I wanted to. Sony was the best system in the world to learn how to be a promotion executive. You had absolute icons with Donnie Ienner and Paulie Anthony and Tommy Mottola, and they taught you how to perform at a high level. But I wanted to be a head of promotion. That was my goal. And then I went to Columbia Records, and Columbia was the creme de la creme. I was the head of pop, and we broke numerous artists over there. So the reason I went to Motown is because I had a chance to become the head of promotion. And I wanted to see if I could compete at that level. And it was wonderful.
So that was the opportunity. Amazing.
Sylvia Rome brought me over there.
Wow. I mean, when you get recruited, you always write your own ticket. You know that, if you know what I mean.
Well, you know what? I always say when you get recruited in our industry, they can have buyer's remorse on you very quickly because the wooing process is fantastic, but then you have to be able to deliver. And I always felt that I would never embarrass myself or the person that was kind enough to hire me. So I gave them 24/7 of everything I had, and I knew how to break music. Whatever the time of whatever era it was, I knew how to be a strategist. And when I got to Motown, which you can ask questions, that was a whole nother animal because I was working with companies like Cash Money, and we were the ones who originally broke Drake and Nicki Minaj and really Lil Wayne, crossing him over to top 40.
And, so pretty much you're an overachiever, my friend, everywhere you went.
It kind of feels that way. I'm definitely an overachiever.
As a senior vice president at Island Def Jam, you continued to oversee promotion strategies for major artists like Jay-Z, Kanye West, Justin Bieber, and the list goes on and on. Could you walk us through the challenges involved in promoting these high-profile artists? And before you start, I want to say something. I mean, credit is due when credit is due. You pretty much hold the key in the success of promotion of a lot of these artists, like what song to play, what video to get out there, what image should we do, because you're head of promotion, pretty much the branding and the marketing all in your hand, my friend. So you had that crown, not just a regular hat. You had a crown, my friend.
Promotion in general was the engine to the record companies. Up until recently with streaming, that's a conversation we get into. But I always knew we controlled the company, and I love that responsibility. So it was just a question again of when I was there. I always said my claim of fame was taking urban artists and bringing them into the mainstream. I apologize for that, into the mainstream. And and top 40 would only play 1 to maybe 2 urban artists at a time, and they still do that. And I wanted to be the person who delivered that artist. So when we had Jay-Z and Kanye, they did a compilation album together, and they had a single, and in Paris, and it was an unbelievable mixtape, an unbelievable club song, but I felt I could bring it to the mainstream. So when those artists see that you're doing things for them outside the box, and you're taking their vision and their passion and creating a strategy, because they're trusting you with that strategy. And if it doesn't work, then they lose that confidence. If it does work, and I always felt pretty good in it. You can't bet everything's a winner, but I felt that if I could get their concerts and bring program directors to their concerts and let them get involved with their culture, they would want to translate that to their listeners. And honestly, when it came to those artists, I just asked for one spin. Give me one spin, 2 spins at 7 p.m. on, and these songs took a life of its own. But you have to be able to have the relationships. Promotion and marketing is about 2 things to me: strategy and relationships. And my relationships were built on sacrifice. Unfortunately, personal family time, the fact that I might be getting beat by somebody else, and that chip on your shoulder. And an artist loves that you'll do everything within your means, with your credibility and your integrity to deliver their music. And that's what happened at Motown. And I did it with, we had an act called The Wanted, and nobody believed in The Wanted, but I loved the song. And the chairman at that time was Barry Weiss. And Barry gave me the opportunity to do it my way. And the Apple chart was really everyone was measuring hits on. And that's so It was Serious Hits Radio in a station that doesn't exist in New York anymore. And I just asked them to bang the song like crazy. And it took about 5 months. Next thing you know, it was the number one song in the country. It was the number one song on Apple, on iTunes. And the company gave me the confidence and the belief in me to let me do what I needed to do to bring that project home.
And you did.
It was a great win, and yes. when you went to celebrate with the artist, it's a great experience.
Yes. At Epic Records, you served as an executive vice president, yes, overseeing promotion, digital initiative. Oh, I did. What am I saying? Yes, initiatives and social strategies. How did the promotion landscape evolve during your time there, transitioning from traditional radio to digital and social media platform?
It changed dramatically. And at that point, I want to recognize L.A. Reid brought me over there. And L.A. is not only the ultimate icon in this industry, but he taught me more in that position than I was even ever aware could be learned. I mean, he was phenomenal, and we had to rebuild the label, and all the technology that started to exist we could use to help break our artists. So, for example, we took Fifth Harmony off. They were on Simon Cowell's TV show, and that was a platform. But then we had social media, which was really coming in. It wasn't TikTok, it wasn't Spotify, but we capitalized on Facebook. Then it became Instagram, and they were marketing dreams to have on those kind of platforms. They had a rabid fan base, and we completely saturated the marketplace with their personalities. We had an unbelievable person there, Lisa Kesha, who really helped us get to these rabid fan base and create a new fan base outside of that. But what we had to do was then take that to radio. And the artists were very young. Camila was young. The group was young. Camila Cabello. So I had to translate the story at social media and why they would be valuable at radio, because their songs weren't yet strong enough to be delivered, and they were too young. Radio felt to really compete. So iHeart broke them. What I did is I brought them to Kiss LA. And John Ivey at that time, who was one of the most powerful people in radio and a wonderful human being, he loved the girls. And I knew if I brought the girls into people's faces, they would win them over. And that's what we did. And we put them on the Jingle Ball shows, Kiss in LA and Z100 here in New York, because I felt they would sell tickets. And through all these different connected dot situations, we came back with the right songs and just blew them up. And that led to what we all knew would happen, the birth of Camila Cabello.
Yes, Camila Cabello, which we're going to talk about now. Your career has been closely tied to Grammy Award-winning artists like Camila Cabello, which you just mentioned, Meghan Trainor, DJ Khaled. And can you share some insights into the unique promotional approaches you took to elevate their strategies?
They were both obviously completely different. Meghan Trainor came into the record label. LA signed her, and she came in wearing a ripped up sweatshirt. It was like you were just like, who is this artist? She came in and she played a ukulele of All About That Bass. It was, and her personality was unbelievable. I mean, she could have taken over any talk show in America. She was just so comfortable with within her skin. But her song, we wanted to get a whole plan. We needed a video. We needed a great video before we delivered the song. So we had the video all set up. And about a week before we launched the video, LA and I had a plan to put the song in 5 different markets, because she was an unknown artist and too many people would have looked at the song at radio as a novelty situation. So I needed to prove success. I always say you need a win somewhere, whatever that win is, at a different type of format, at radio, at TikTok now, what would be considered Spotify now. You need some sort of win to spread a story. My win was, and I'll get to in a second, was having everything lined up. So I had 5 stations ready to play it. And then there was this thing that just came along called Shazam. Yes. No one knew what Shazam was at that time. They didn't know how it affected the marketplace. Nobody at record labels and partners such as such as radio PDs. We didn't know how they would. We didn't understand it ourselves. I put it on 5 markets. It becomes number 1 on Shazam, all in each market. So now suddenly those markets are saying, those radio stations say, wait a second, this has to mean something. No one knows about this. Yeah. They put the song at like 50 times a week. Then we put the video on the Today Show at Good Morning America. Don't quote me. Yes. A week later, the video blew it up. And then at radio, it was all over. I think she was number 1 in about 7 weeks, which at that time was unheard of.
Wow. Amazing.
And that led, and then another thing with Megan is Megan had a song with John Legend. And that's what she won her Grammy for Best New Artist based on that. And we just grinded that song out at radio for 26 weeks. It's that passion, that belief in an artist that you know you're right. Now, I can jump around. Khaled was different. Khaled came to the label with an unbelievable, brilliant marketing plan. He sat it out in front of all of us. Khaled is a brilliant marketing executive, probably one of the top 5 I've ever met. So what we had to do, but he was an unknown artist, great marketing brain, great producer, but was the best kept secret. So he did this song with Justin Bieber, Lil Wayne, and Migos, I believe. Yeah. And I went to all the top PDs, and I invited them down to Khaled's house in Miami. And we had a partnership with radio that they would play the song every hour on the hour for 24 hours. Mm-hmm. It blew up from there, and again became a number 1 song. It's always your narrative in the beginning. It's how you launch a song that is going to possibly determine the success of the song or the song getting its best possible opportunity.
Got it.
And that's where we broke those R's. Now, when I was at Epic, we were leading the country with urban artists. 21 Savage, Travis Scott, Khaled, Future. And that's when Spotify really came into play. And we used Spotify to really help launch the success of the songs on Spotify from their rabid fan base led to when we would press the button to work them at radio. If you use streaming, everyone always says now, chicken or the egg. Is it streaming? Is it radio? Or now streaming dominates? No. You have both unbelievable machines. Use them both. Columbia Records is the master at this. Republic is the master at this. They know how to utilize both radio and streaming. They don't pick one or the other. But everybody wants to be on the radio. And radio breaks artists. You can listen to X amount of artists on Spotify, love the song, but can't make the connection who the artist is because they don't market the artist.
Yes, just the song.
Just a song.
Just so the voice.
They become turntable hits. You get 3 singles on C100 New York. You have a star that also has the opportunity to be a touring act.
So you're saying that radio still have some muscles
power
out there or some power?
Absolutely.
Influential power, I should say.
Absolutely.
It does. Wow.
People will say, if you look at the jingle balls that happen throughout the country, that Z100 Kiss, they're like, everybody wants to be at that shows. Every artist in the world goes into their chairman and their head of promotion and wants to know what's going on at radio. They are.
I mean, wouldn't you say like 80% of young people listen to their devices, to their streaming platforms? Yeah.
But what record labels do, and now what I do within my company is you take a streaming artist, okay?
Yeah.
Or a streaming single, and you say, okay, we've read the tea leaves. We know it's a hit. We have the answers to the test. So the conversations that you're having with radio, and based on how sophisticated radio programmers are, you're not doing, like, I used to, when I worked early on at these different labels, I would have to will a song on the radio. I'd have to go sit with a radio programmer, and basically my passion and my relationship would help break the song. Now, like, I would have to say to them, I know I'm right. Well, how do you know you're right? Because I'm right. Now I have the answers to the test. I can go to a radio station and say, this song is going to work, but I need you to bring it to the masses. I need you to not make it a 6-week turntable hit. I need you to make this an actual viable act. And then you play one song at radio, then you get the second song up at streaming. And if it works, you know that can be a great follow-up to the second single. If not, maybe you put a third single at on Spotify or Pandora. If you see the metrics, then you translate those numbers as a second single to radio. But radio's power to bring a song home, you have the radio, you have the iHeart Awards. You have Cumulus that has, iHeart has 52 radio stations. Cumulus, another powerful chain. They are so part of their culture in their markets that their value is, you will listen to what they have to say, but that's really it. You got to bring them. You have to use them as a formula.
Is working songs to the radio as hard as it used to be back in the days? Like I would say 20 years ago?
It's different hard. It's different. First of all, I'll be honest with you. The promotion people back in the day were just a different type of person. They were they were phenomenal beasts. Like they were legends. The people that I competed with, I respected them. I knew to be smart enough to fear them. I like to be in a position where I hope at times they knew that I was going to get the edge. It was a different era where you had to break a song by going on the road. So we would all be on the road a year at a time, and we'd all trip over each other and kill each other for that relationship and to get that spot. So we were a different type of animal. And then we all became more sophisticated and we understood the craft of promotion. Yeah. Today, it's a little different because everybody does have the answers to the test. So from streaming, so you're kind of, radio's already meeting you halfway because they're saying, we know you have success. You don't have to prove it as much.
Yes.
So I think it's easier now, frankly, than it was.
Got it. Before we jump into Collateral Damage Promotion, which is your company, you have two things, when you worked for the major labels and the success that you had, looking at your track record. So you have the relationships, I would say, with artists out there and with the major labels. So, and you have the key and the power to be distributed through major labels. How come, this is just a personal question, you never thought of starting your own label? Having a label, you need two big things. You need a major label distribution, and you need, back in the day, or even now probably, and you need the promotion, which is you're the brain of it, so you know how to. So you have two main key elements to the success of a new record label. You never thought of that, starting your own label, by having a relationship out there in the streets to bring in artists? And
I think it's something that's always been a dream of mine. So I think I've thought about it probably since I was 20. But that
having
first
your
of all,
own label.
Absolutely. That's obviously been the ultimate dream of mine. But the fact is, that's a different business model in the sense that you need a backer. You need, whether it be a hedge fund, whether it be an artist that you have to invest in personally, financially. There's a lot of that goes into it to create one. It's like if you have The Weeknd as your artist, and you have Post Malone, and you have Taylor Swift, you have such an unbelievable base that you're already a record label basically, and a label will bring you in as a joint venture. And if you bring in no other artist but that one artist, you're set. So maybe that will come into play one day. But as far as
Collateral Damage Records or music,
you never know. Look, I never thought I'd see Collateral Damage. It's just kind of, when I wanted to do my own thing. When you work for the amount of people I have in the Hall of Famers I have, you need to find out on your own what you can do. And when I started Collateral Damage, it created a life of its own. And the phone calls and the supporters has been phenomenal.
Which we're going to talk about now. Yes. as the president of Collateral Damage Promotion and Marketing, you
Mhm.
worked in major labels, independent labels, and artists directly. How does your current role differ from your past experience, and what strategies are you implementing to adapt to the changes music promotion landscape, which is you wanted to start talking about?
I run my company
Yeah.
basically like I'm the head of promotion at a major record label. I
Yes.
strategize that way. I strategize with the artists I have. I strategize with my because it's also different formats, like whether it be a
Hmm.
top 40, the urban format, the alternative format, whatever the case may be. I strategize crossing those formats just like I would at a major label, and I have the relationships that exist at the major labels. So my big thing is I get the same seats at the big boy and girl table that not everyone has access to.
Yes.
So I can get artists when they're ready, and I get them in a place to be ready to be in the right meetings. And I also can help them from a streaming standpoint and a radio standpoint and a marketing standpoint and a social media standpoint of what we need to get to each phase of their career.
Yes.
And the major labels I like working with because they're my friends and they're who I grew up with. But my passion and my excitement of why I started this is working with unknown artists, the independents, and the artists that need help to get in those positions because frankly, they need me more.
Yes.
Major labels can win without me, whereas the other scenarios, managers, producers, artists, independent labels, distribution companies, they truly value the process from A to Z, and it give me all the resources I need to help
Mhm.
compete against the major labels.
Got it. Got it. We'll dive into that. I have a couple of questions regarding a couple of
Please.
articles were out there. We'll go into it in a minute. In your extensive career, you witnessed music promotion transition from radio to streaming, digital charts to social media, and
Yep.
now platforms like TikTok. Can you
Mhm.
provide a glimpse into the complexity of modern music promotion, including the role of data, analytics, and AI? We don't want to
Okay.
forget AI.
Well, okay. I don't want to speak out of turn first of all because AI is just real. Like I don't think as far as promotion and marketing goes, though
Yeah.
I think a lot maybe people will say it's just starting to come in. Like definitely major labels are beyond sophisticated to know that's the business and they are using it. But as far
Yeah.
as promotion goes and marketing goes, no, it's more TikTok. It will be, and AI is going to be a major part of the world
Hmm.
from this point on. But
Hmm.
so far, it's really TikTok. The metrics from Amazon, Apple, uh, Pandora, Spotify, any a vehicle, a platform that measures the success of the end game user. Now
Hmm.
TikTok's a little different to me because the other ones are pure numbers. Spotify are pure numbers. The metrics are what they are.
Yeah.
TikTok is personality. What I love about TikTok is what I love about the music industry in general, and where I always get nervous about metrics is metrics can take out the passion
Yeah.
and artists and songs might not get a shot that I want them to get if you only base it on metrics. Because I always say we broke a lot of music. Clive
Hmm.
Davis broke a lot of music. L.A. Reid before metrics existed, and we're talking Whitney Houston, Michael
Hmm.
Jackson, Bruce Springsteen, and the biggest tours are still those artists.
Got it.
So they're not. So I'm still a big believer that passion and belief in a song, if it's not getting the metrics, can
Yeah.
still overcome. That being said, TikTok is a double edge because it's a great creative way to get the consumer to control the marketplace.
Hmm. Where the
And
fans are involved.
with their fans, they can create it. They can create their own little, their own fan base. Their music gets exposed.
Hmm.
Uh, it's wonderful. Like I think, like I watch my kids on it. It's great for
Hmm.
personalities. Now that being said, it's not sustainable, or it hasn't shown to be as a norm. That doesn't mean there aren't anomalies, because everyone will always say when you give an example, well, what about so and so? There are always anomalies. But for your week-to-week business model, when it comes to TikTok, you still want to have A-level producers, A-level mixers, A-level A&R people. You keep what makes DJ Khaled so special and why all he has is number one songs is because of him. He has an experience, Pharrell. These different type of producers are so magical and so special and rainmakers that a TikTok artist isn't getting exposed to them. What's unbelievable is what they're teaching themselves out of their basement. And it's so admirable because I'm envious of it. And I wish that always existed, that freedom, and that the consumer always could dictate what's going on, because I think it's wonderful. But to have consistency, an artist still needs some level of training, some level of to keep, so they
as
don't
a tool. So you're saying as a tool.
Well, not only as a tool, but so they can avoid becoming a one-hit wonder.
Yes, got it.
Because don't forget, there are, and I don't want to mention them because it's not fair, but I've watched TikTok artists, labels sign TikTok artists off that one song. It races to number one. Nobody remembers the artist. No, it's a whatever happened to. There's never a second single. And because if you don't have any sort of fan base, who's really remembering you? And again, that's the difference between, to me, streaming and radio. Radio creates a fan base.
Correct.
For you. They move at a different speed than streaming, because streaming might move in 6 week, 8 weeks, 10-week cycles. But that also could hurt them because you're not giving the average consumer a real chance to identify with who you are. And you have to work double hard to market that artist.
And when you mention TikTok, is this the same goes for Instagram Reel and YouTube Shorts? Same thing.
It's all the same sideways, and tomorrow there'll be another version of it. They're all incredible. They give unknown artists a chance to be seen, because artist development does not exist in labels anymore. Labels want you to have, the labels want everyone to do the heavy lifting. They want to say, okay, you're coming in with these kind of streaming numbers. You're coming in with these kind of TikTok metrics. You're coming in where we know we have a pretty good shot to win. Back in the day, we had to create that opportunity 100%.
Yes.
So now, again, it's the answers to the test. But if it doesn't work, you don't have a fan base to help get you through to the next level.
So what are you saying that major labels do use these tools or these social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts as a vehicle to see, hey, can we take them from here to bring? So why you think Universal pulled out their catalog in the big controversial article in the past couple of days from TikTok? I'm sure you've seen the article.
Yeah, you know what? I always try to speak with what, and this isn't really a political response, but I mean, I don't.
No. Just curious.
If I was working at the label, or had more insight, like to me, when I read something articles, it's I always want to be in the real know and understand what was the thinking behind it. I always think, look at Universal is incredible. What they've done,
absolutely.
And I'm not just saying what they, but there is like, hey, wait a second, why can't we, in everything they do, let's create that internally? Because they have the biggest artists in the world. They can create their own version one day of TikTok. They can create their own version. They have the
resources. They have everything.
Right. They have. So if they decide to pull something, they're doing it for what's going to be for the ultimate right reason. People might not understand it on the front end, but they're geniuses. And look, again, when you have what Republic does and what
very smart answer, my friend.
does.
Very smart answer.
I would bet against anything they do.
Yes. You heard it first. The SoundBreaker. Be on the lookout.
Yes.
Absolutely. A new platform. Something to do with Universal. Being a partner.
I don't know what it's going to be, but they are always going to create something. They are the ultimate innovators.
Yes. Well said. Speaking of AI, in your current role, how do you envision the integration of artificial intelligence shaping the future of the music marketing and promotion? And are you currently working on any projects related to AI?
I'm just what I'm trying to figure out now is, look, it's
Please.
I think every industry, but obviously I'll speak about the one I know, is trying to now figure out how where AI, because it's going to dominate every industry, just like it's a different type of industry. But we all knew at some point Amazon was going to take out everybody. It's just this is something that's going to take out everyone, but in the world they live in. So AI, first of all, it's going to determine what employees are valuable and what aren't. Because you could put together, if you go into AI, they could put together the most sophisticated marketing plan. Is that going to hurt now? Is that now going to hurt a marketing executive who now you're taking out the personality, that vision? So it's going to be excellence versus excellence and cost covering. So if I can now take a marketing plan, I don't have a big staff. So with AI, if I can go into a system and go, okay, I need a marketing plan for this artist, it's wonderful for me. But I'm not going to take out my creativity. I'm not going to take out what I think I bring to the table. I have to figure out how to use my ability and be smart enough to use everything to maximize AI. You have to maximize all your metrics. You have to maximize AI. But you also have to figure out at what point do you question yourself and not let yourself be. AI can't give you passion. AI can't drive passion into another human being.
Correct. Cannot create the emotions, the creativity. Cannot. Yes, that emotional bond. Yes.
And in the entertainment industry, the movie industry, the music industry, that value is more important to me than any other industry. But that being said, AI is going to take over the world. They're going to have the answer to every test, and they're going to be so much more sophisticated than any other human being. You're basically getting 10 Harvard, MIT, Yale marketing executives through AI.
Correct.
Why wouldn't you use that brilliance? But then you have to be able to, how do you integrate it into the entertainment world? And because Barry Gordy, Clive Davis, David Geffen, Jimmy Iovine, they never had AI. And again, look what they've done. You know what I mean? They've created. So would you ever take them out of the mix for a complete AI generated situation? You'd be foolish.
Definitely not. Yes.
But those executives, if they had AI, would also know how to maximize what it brings to the table. But it'll probably be 75, 80% AI. But that 20%, that 25%, you're going to have the top music executives in the world competing against each other with the same information from AI. And that's going to be like watching the best of the best.
Interesting. Well, very positive outlook. In your line of work, how do you stay updated with the latest trends, innovations, or changes in the industry, and how important it is to continue to learn?
Oh my God! If you look at, if I didn't learn, I'd still be dealing with MySpace and Napster.
Yes.
I mean, you have to evolve. It depends what you want out of it. There are two things you have to do, or two or three. And I'm thinking of this. This is probably coming to say this. You have to continue to evolve.
Yes.
You have to continue to understand you're not as strong as you think you are. You have to be able to hear what you don't want to hear. You have to let smarter people. You know, one thing about L.A. Reid that I loved, L.A. always told me, because he was trying to teach me and take any ceiling I had on myself and clear it out of the way by telling me what I didn't want to hear. You can't be sensitive. If you don't know AI, say you don't know it. If you don't understand metrics, but you know it's valuable, ask those questions and go to people that you feel that can educate you. I didn't understand what consumption meant, what it meant using all the metrics together, but I knew to ask the right people. So you can't be pride. You can't have pride. You can't have ego. You have to know there's always numerous people smarter than you, and you know a lot less than a lot more, if that makes sense. I know what I
It
know,
does.
but there's
Yeah.
just too much I don't know. So if like what's coming next after Kat Kedrick, I want to pronounce her last name correctly, is the president of ADA. She's this brilliant technology executive. I ask her questions. I'm sorry, I didn't say that correctly. I ask her numerous questions. I made up a phrase here. I ask her numerous questions. She's brilliant. She knows more than I'm ever going to know, but I need to know as much as from her as I can.
Yes, yes.
She understands. She's looking for the next Spotify. She's looking to how to integrate Warner into the future. So how do I know to go to her? I know to ask her what's next. And how would you recommend how is that going to help me do what I do? So you always know something's coming. You just have to do as much reading as you can. You have to constantly educate yourself. You have to whatever's going to teach you is more valuable than going down the TikTok rabbit hole for an
hour. Aside from promotion, Todd, you've been in the industry for long enough that you've seen technology change everything. To the point you've developed a crystal ball, I would say, per se. What your vision for the future? Where do you think we are going next? Also, what is missing in the industry? Really, these are a few important questions that I think you're one of the few people able to kind of give a glimpse, or I wish 100% answer, but at least I would say 75% you will be correct in your answers. Envision the future. Where do you think, what's next and what's missing?
All right. Well, first of all, where I think the industry's going is I think when you said something earlier about asking me about wanting to have my own label. One of the reasons why I think something like that would be possible one day is because I think, well, this will lead to the question. Artists are going to have their own labels. Artists are going to understand they don't need labels. First of all, artists have to give up their masters. Artists have to give up their freedom, their creativity, their publishing. And now majors are being more sensitive to that situation. Universal is wonderful with that. Again, I'm not saying others aren't, but I just love how conscious they are to protect their artists. So but if you're a Travis Scott or you're one of these artists, you could have your own label tomorrow because frankly, you can come to my company or a competitor of mine for promotion and marketing. You can do the same thing and outsource someone for international. What you need from an artist is three things. You need streaming so people can help you with platforms and the relationships for playlisting. You need a promotion person that can help you with radio, and you need an international person. Those are really the three highlights. And all that together with an AI situation or a TikTok situation or creates marketing. So labels, so artists can invest in that without giving up overhead, without giving up any of their resources. As far as, like you said, they can own 100% of their masters. So they're going to only get more sophisticated. Younger people are 100% already understanding that. So 10 years from now, an artist is going to say, I'm keeping everything and I can compete with everybody. And they're going to be the artists in their fan base is going to be so far ahead of the labels because they can be more fluid.
Yes.
For example, if I see a single's not working, I can go to the next single in 10 seconds. Whereas sometime after your label, you still have to go through the machine. You have to go through numerous agendas. With me, I just chase the success for the artist. And people that do what I do. And managers and whatever. So in today's times, if you see a different sign, we can shift. Well, in the future, everyone's going to think that way. So you're going to have artists that can create their own branding. Look at Travis Scott, Lil Nas X. They don't need anyone to create branding. They're their own brand. Travis Scott created the McDonald's commercial. Lil Nas X is brilliant with creating marketing opportunities. They can do it on their own without, and they get all the money that comes in. They don't have to work out a deal with anyone else. So now picture 10, 15 years down the road, they're going to create their own labels. They're going to Cash Money is a perfect example. I worked very closely with Cash Money. They were the future. They developed Young Money, Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne brought Nicki over there, brought Drake over there, brought Tyga over there. When you have a brand, those artists will bring on new artists, and they'll do it with the same business model. That will be 20 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe 3 years from now.
Sure,
it's
yes,
all
definitely.
about leverage.
3 years, yes.
Everything's about leverage. What happens, it goes back to the heavy lifting. If an artist creates that, will a major then try to buy that? And then an artist will say, okay, do I want that fat check? Or do I want to stay on my own course? And that's where you get into that competition.
Sometimes the fat check it's going to be attractive, yes.
It's going to be attractive, but they're not going to argue.
Because you don't know the future. They have a chance to have another hit or another, So,
but the answer to your question is artists are going to end up controlling their own destiny. I think, and over time, I think they'll control the rest of it. And they'll be on the forefront of maximizing the newest versions of technology.
And so do you think like music distribution can also change with the streaming and all of that?
Music distribution has to change. Music distribution companies represent the whole labels. So not only do they have to be on the forefront of technology, which again, I think Warner and their new chairman is a technology genius. I call him a beast in that area. He is taking the music. See, what's happened is the music industry hasn't had enough leaders to take us into that technology world, because where they've got is from their careers. And frankly,
there's always a pushback. Yes.
Right. But labels like, again, John Janik at Interscope, Monty and Avery at Republic, Warner, they see the future, and they're only worried about the future. They don't care about what have you done for me yesterday. So Warner, though, has brought over a technology savvy person who is going to always be on the forefront and make sure their distribution company, which again is CAT, who I said earlier, at ADA, they work hand in hand to figure out how to distribute their music with these new versions of technology, not just on a domestic level, but more importantly on an international level. And there are numerous distribution technology companies, coming overseas that are just being discovered here. France has one. Italy has one. India is a streaming monster in this world. So why is it working? Why is it working so well in India? Why are the numbers so high? The U.S. has to figure out that and bring that into our world.
And the streaming platform thing, which is part of distribution, you think will stay the same? Back in the day, it used to be the record stores. Now, streaming digital platform. And you have so many. The music is on too many platforms. There is a change, that you would say.
Well, the only change, and that kind of that is based to me on the actual company, like Pepsi, Coke, or whatever. That's marketing to me. Meaning you're gonna, if we see streaming is a winning business model, you're gonna have new streaming sites that are always gonna say, "But we're this, but we do this better." Well, we're this, and we do this and this better. So there are two things: we need to see the metrics and the results that their consumers are really reacting to the artist. That we know Spotify is. There'll obviously be new, more futuristic companies as we
new technology, streaming music
that are being developed now. But distribution companies are obviously trying to pay attention, and they have people specifically in their companies to read the room and figure out what that is. So there's no secret there, but on which ones are going to work, it's going to be result driven, like always, eyeballs. Like we know TikTok is a eyeball.
Oh, yes.
Super Bowl.
Yes.
You have influencers on TikTok that have 100 million followers. We know
celebrities, singers, famous, everybody.
We know it's an unbelievable marketing tool. So until we see those, and again, that's the consumer driving the marketplace, not the record labels. The record labels then capitalize on those companies. But we have to see results, and they have to see, obviously, whoever markets yourself to put yourself in the room to be, so they'll pay attention to you. It still comes down to, again, promotion and marketing.
Yes. I mean, there's always been a pushback in the music business towards technology. Even I remember from the days of physical to digital. But again,
think about why.
You said,
technology,
we all know why. Yes.
No, technology, unfortunately, replaces people's jobs.
Oh, correct.
So, of course, you'd be scared. Like, if you're AI right now and you're the head of marketing at a label, you should be concerned. If you're a promotion person and you see that streaming is changing the world, you should be concerned. You should. Being comfortable is what stops us. And that's the music industry's biggest enemy is being comfortable. It's the executives that are that get uncomfortable that continue to have places.
This interview and this conversation, I would love to continue it for more. Absolutely.
That's what I said. I could talk to you for days.
Listen, you're an encyclopedia, my friend. You definitely are. Well, we firstly thank you for joining us today. I mean, obviously, good things sometimes have to come to an end, but this has been an honor and a pleasure. This concludes today's episode of SoundBreaker. Please make sure to follow us on socials and to stay tuned for new episodes. See you, and thank you very much. This podcast is presented by Music Dash, world's first AI-powered independent distribution CMS. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share the SoundBreaker Podcast. And if you are joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.